So we have on the line Gail, Greg, Patrick, Paul, anyone else other than Chris? I'm sorry.
Debbie.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Deb. Yep.
It's okay.
And Kathy's not going to join us today. And
Millie is now on.
I'm sorry.
Millie is now on. She is.
Oh. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Hello. So Kurt is not going to. Kurt is going to be late, and Kathy's not going to be able to attend this board meeting. So we can get started. I wanted to open the regulations meeting by saying that, and I don't know about Jamie because he didn't respond to the quorum check. So hopefully he'll be with us. I just wanted to open by saying that, excuse me, I added all the corrections that were requested at the August 15th meeting, except where I highlighted instructor because you guys asked for a change and instructor be changed to course provider. But in some instances where it's highlighted, that I've highlighted in green, you can't really change the word instructor to course provider because it refers specifically to the person who teaches the course.
And I think sometimes there may be an instructor that does it on their own too. I mean, so I think, but I was thinking about that. Could you say instructor or course provider as appropriate?
Let's see
wherever it belongs like that. In other words, wherever it would be something like that, where it would be signing off on something, which is the only place the course provider would be.
Okay, well, let's go through it then. The first instance of instructor is at section 309, subpart 5, general course requirements. And in 5C there, it says the course will be taught by competent instructors. I don't think you can change that section to course provider.
Nope.
Okay, so this will 5C is okay as it is. The next one section is subpart 6B4.
Yep,
I don't
that
think
has
you
to
can
stay too. Yep.
Okay, so that one is okay. I'm skipping over the others just so we can go through the instructor and we can go back to page 1. So the next section is subpart 6C.
Yeah.
If there are any substantive changes or instructors, I don't think you can change that one.
No.
And then down to 7C, course instructors, I don't think you can change that one.
Nope.
And 8A. If there is no active course instructor, I don't think you can change that.
Not the way it's written, no. Yeah, actually, so the course provider.
Yep,
hold on, just looking. Yeah.
Sure.
Yep, sorry, just checking.
No. And the last instructor is at one page over, and I'm sorry, 2 pages over. We are at section 11. 11D4. Top of the page, it's highlighted in green. Instructors for approved conference workshops. I don't think you can change that one either.
No.
Any discussion? Okay. All right, going back to page, the first set of corrections from Greg and Gail, we're looking at definitions, 309 subpart 1 and DEP course. And so I'd like for us to take a minute and look at those suggested revisions and then discuss them.
I was comfortable with Greg's wording.
Okay. I'm going to just weigh in here because I think that it's a mistake to strike, and I started speaking on this last meeting. I think it's a mistake to strike the term substantial and just put in part, because in part is I mean, can you define in part? And also in the last sentence of the definition, it says insubstantial part. So there's conflict there within the same paragraph. I really want to ask the board members to think about, if you say in part, and of course what you're doing is approving a whole new category of courses that may have one DEP staff person and 5 other persons. And so that's your definition of in part. Just one, because in part could be just one. I'm just saying it's open for interpretation, and I think it changes the definition, obviously, of a DEP course.
Well, but we can do that.
Let me just speak to that, please. So I didn't notice. I would have taken the last substantial out if I had known. As I think everybody understands, I voted against approving a DEP course last time because, in fact, I don't think it met the definition of insubstantial part. So I think we were, as a board, were willing to approve a course like that, and so we might as well just be very clear that as long as the department department is clear that it endorses everything in the course and takes part in it throughout, even if it's that individual or individuals are not actually teaching. I think that is in fact what we did last time. So that's why I intentionally took that out. I'm certainly, I just wanted us to have something in the regulations that correspond to what we did or do.
Yeah, and I want to say that I thought the language that Greg added actually covers what we talked about last time in terms of the DEP. As long as DEP is sort of blessing this course and saying, yes, we agree that what's presented in this course is in accordance with what we think is the information that needs to be communicated, and we're there in case something comes up to answer questions. I think that's why it's okay with the addition of Greg's language to take out substantial, because it does convey almost exactly what we said last time that we would feel comfortable with. And there's nothing wrong with the board recognizing that it needs to change its mind because times have changed and we're doing things a little differently now.
I don't think you're doing anything differently in the sense that you're requiring DEP to make a decision that the board should be making as to whether or not a course should be sanctioned. So what this is, I'm telling you, this is just my opinion. Now, of course, you're free to strike that language if you choose. But I just think it's going to create a whole new category of courses that may be taught by just one DEP person.
But Beverly, I think what I meant with things are different is back then when the regulations were put in place, DEP literally presented courses. They did the only thing, they were the only presenters. It was the new MCP. We needed to hear from the department, and they were doing all of that themselves. But a lot of that has been covered. We understand it now, meaning LSPs understand it now. not being one, but I think the point is that the way stuff is being presented now is different in that DEP has recognized that they feel that there are outside presenters that can do the work. I mean, when we, that basically can explain their concepts that they want to get across, because now we've moved from sort of teaching people about the regulations to teaching people about guidance or how you want people to proceed. And so I think that there's a difference in what DEP feels the need to get across to LSPs. And if the technical people are not at the department and they're comfortable with that, then the concept that it's a DEP concept that needs to be conveyed. DEP is involved throughout the process. They're there that as the presentation is being done, then it does meet what they consider a DEP course. It's presenting DEP information, the information that DEP would like to get across to LSPs. And therefore, I don't think they're making a decision for us. We'll decide if it counts as DEP credit, but they're telling us that they think it does. They think it's qualified based on their opinion, and they're should be allowed to do that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to tweak the language a little bit to include the part that Greg missed. And I'll, and oh, I'm sorry, any other discussion on the point?
Yeah, we had a lot of discussion last time, and I hope others will weigh in. I was just trying to make it clear that we're willing to work with the department and not hold them to the language as it was written originally, for all the reasons that Gail just went through.
Yeah, you got Paul here. I mean, I'll chime in. I think that language, Greg, is strong, right? In that it has the DEP course. The entire course content must be endorsed and approved by the department. I think with that language, that hits to the intent of what we're trying to do here is that, DEP presenting information. And as, as Gail said, if they got to now sort of lean on outside people to do so, this provides the flexibility to do it and still, maintain the DEP component where they're approving, specifically approving the content that's being presented. I think that's the major concern, right? Is that we want to make sure that who we're speaking is the voice of the department, and I think that covers it. So,
and I would expect them to.
But I agree with you, Paul, and that is fine. I'm just saying that you can't enact something that you can't enforce. And ultimately, Gail is right. Ultimately the board makes the decision about whether or not a course is going to be approved, regardless to what Mass DEP presents. So go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Beverly, I was just what's your concern about the enforcing? I'm sorry if I missed that, but what's the concern there?
My concern is the language of in part, and so you're not so. My concern is that in part is an amorphous concept, in the sense that it's vague. When you say substantial part, that means if you have 5 people, 3 of them have to be DEP. That's easily figured out. But if you say in part, you're just leaving it to, maybe just one instructor or out of 10 or whatever the number can be. But ultimately the board has, you guys have the power to approve or deny approval. So I'm going to put in some of the language for you to see that I sent to Mass DEP with its attendance cert form. I don't remember if I sent that to the board members. I did send it to DEP, to, excuse me, Elizabeth Callahan. So any other folks want to weigh in?
This is Patrick, and I'll just say I thought Gail did a really nice job summarizing reasons to change this. And I'm sorry I missed the last conversation on this, but I think it may also be an acknowledgement that there's greater capacity now outside of DEP for high quality instruction. And as long as DEP is involved and is making sure what they want communicated to LSPs is getting communicated, it seems like a real win for LSPs as well as for DEP.
Yeah, it's absolutely a win for LSPs because, like I said, you're going to be approving a whole new category of courses. And if that makes more DEP courses available to LSPs, I agree with you. That's a very good thing. Okay.
I would expect in their applications when they submit a course for approval, that they would explicitly state that they approve all aspects of the course that they're asking for to be approved for DEP credit.
Yeah, well, rather than expected, I think we should put something specific in there. And I did, as the board requested last month, send an email again to Liz Callahan when I sent the attendance certification forms with the language that the board used, you used during the meeting, that it's approved and by DEP staff and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Greg's language specifically says the entire course content must be endorsed and approved. So
I suspect they'll push back on some of that, but that I think they have to buy into it, and they may not be able to control everything that the other instructors say, but they certainly should have the written content and slides and those things reviewed and it be exactly what they want to convey.
Yeah, but what's important about what you added also is that they have to be there for the entire course. So if something got said that they didn't think was consistent with their approach, they are there to say that.
Well, they should have been approved. Greg is saying approve the slides and approve the written content, any content, then that should have been handled before.
No, Beverly, at these courses, people can ask questions and instructors can respond, and they may respond.
No, I get that, Gail. I get that. But it's fine. We'll work with this language that Greg has given us, and the only part that you're saying really needs to be revised is the sentence that Greg missed at the last sentence there.
Yes, sorry about that. It was in my original, but when I transferred the language over to your version, I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
We're not going to require this to get proposed by the DEP as much as somebody else could.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a word of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so is this language basically going to allow, like, let's say you're a consultant, to actually call up the DEP and work on proposing a regulatory course and pulling somebody from the DEP into it versus the DEP proposing a course and going outside and getting subject matter experts?
That's not what the intention was here. Because DEP courses are proposed by DEP.
So we're keeping.
I know, but that's a good point. If I decide I want to put on a DEP course, I can call Liz Callahan and say, hey, or Nancy Fitzpatrick and say, hey, I've got this idea. Will you sign on?
Oh, sure, but
they could pitch a concept, and then after that, yes, Greg, after that, it would entail DEP signing off on it, yes, and reviewing the slides and reviewing the content and all of that. Okay, I agree, though. I'm sorry. Who was the last speaker before Greg?
Craig.
Who posed? No, someone posed a question that someone could pitch. Anybody can pitch.
Craig with a C.
Yeah, Craig. Okay, Craig. I think that's a good point because anybody can pitch a course. Ultimately, it's DEP that has to sign on. But I think he's right. Anybody can pitch a course. And you do have to be careful, those of you who are LSPs, if you're voting for something, and this is just an additional consideration. If you're voting for something that's going to benefit you as a licensee, we want to make sure that that it's exactly right, that it's exactly the standard that you want to set for DEP and anybody else who participates in a DEP course. I'll work on it and turn it around, and we'll see how that goes. Any other comments? I didn't mean to squelch discussion. Okay. Paragraph 6B, I'm sorry, 6B7A, I think is the next section that Greg and Gail had taken a look at, and me as well, had taken a look at.
Yeah, and I just proposed this language to get the discussion started because I thought it was kind of consistent with what we talked about last time in terms of total number of polling questions.
Just giving everybody a chance to take a fresh look at it. And
so for a 4-hour course, you would have 2 and then 3 more, 5 polling questions total?
That was well, it doesn't have to be, but yes, I mean, that was the idea, is that more or less that, yes.
And then same thing with an 8-hour, it would be the 2 plus the 7, so you'd have about 9.
Yeah, it comes out to be 9, yeah. And that's why I thought it was a weird number, so I just put 10 in there.
Yeah, and 2 or 3, 2 I think is appropriate for a 1 hour. I think that's a decent formula compared to previous discussions we had.
Yeah, this is Paul here. I mean, I would say as a minimum requirement, that seems about right to me.
Yeah, I think the reason I picked 10, this is another weird reason for picking 10, was because 10 is usually the number of questions you have for the assessment of learning.
okay, so it should read, live webinar requests for course approval require polling questions at periodic intervals throughout the course to verify the LSP's attendance. The presence of a response must be tracked by the course provider, period. The number of polling questions should be appropriate to the length of the course, comma, with a minimum of 2 questions for a 1-hour course and at least 1 question per hour thereafter. Is that correct?
Yes, and you can change, I put a semicolon at the end to verify the LSP's license. But you could just change it to a comma and an and if you wanted to. I originally had that and decided I liked the semicolon better.
Okay. All right. Other comments about section B7A? Very good. I've got my notations. We're now at section 9, and I just wanted to say I am aware of the formatting issues here. I'll work on that a little bit. But we're at section 9A. And I think Gail posed this question, right?
I don't know. I didn't make it green. I was wondering why it was green. So, no, I thought I had a comment. No, I had a comment. Can you, Chris,
yes.
can you open up my comment?
Yes.
Does it open? I can go to my
Hold on.
You
I
had it a
have
second ago.
I
It
have the
just
comment.
flashed on the screen.
Yeah, the comments are right beside it. I don't know
Right.
if you can see it on your screen. HGC Environmental, would it be
Yeah.
possible for us
Yeah.
to include the possibility? Yeah, it's on the screen. I don't know.
Oh,
I
it's
can
not
see it.
on my screen.
I can see it
Yeah,
Oh, why can't I?
on the right side.
yeah, it's on the comments on the right
Oh, it's
side.
probably covered by my, never mind, I got it. It's covered by my little, whatever that thing is.
Oh, for the go to webinar? Yeah, I moved
yeah,
that
yeah.
onto my second screen so that I can see everything.
Yeah.
And this is the current protocol for in-person courses. You know, after 4 hours, you can get partial credit so long as
Yes.
you attend. Yeah. So this is just carrying that forward to virtual.
Yep, that was my thought. Maybe I wondered if we could do that.
Why wouldn't we be consistent with virtual and in person? I would tend to lean that way.
That's why I asked. I thought it seemed reasonable, so I'm guessing.
Seems reasonable.
Just trying to be helpful to all the LSPs out there who have something that they can't sit through the last hour of a course or something, you know. Something happens. Or you miss the first hour, you know, you come in late.
So something along the lines of 100% up to 4 hours, and then say like 75% of the polling questions have to get answered after 4 hours.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Okay, Craig, can you just repeat what you said, please?
Sure. The attendees have to respond to 100% of the polling questions for courses 4 hours and less, and up to
100% of polling questions.
No, do not say 100%. It's next to impossible. You can easily, I've missed them when they've come up and I just didn't get the answer in time.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Okay. So attendee must respond to what percentage of polling questions?
Yeah. I mean, we're
Do we
basing
want
this
to
all
say
on.
that? Do we want to get that detailed? The certification is from the, we didn't have anything before about polling questions in this, although maybe we should have.
But isn't the whole attendance issue based on the polling questions?
That's how they decide, but you're certainly allowed to miss a question either in the beginning or you are allowed to miss, you have to be allowed to miss them because they cut it off sometimes too soon.
So maybe miss one polling question in the first 4 hours?
I'm uncomfortable.
75% for the course, greater than 4 hours? Does that make sense?
Hey, it doesn't affect me because I'm not an LSP, but I'm telling you, I have worried even when I take LSP courses as opposed to EPOC courses.
No, I've had similar issues. I totally get it. So
and I don't want to restrict. Here's the thing: I don't want to restrict it too much because, quite frankly, I used to be the person sitting in the back of the thing looking at all the people on their computers that were not doing or reading newspapers or doing whatever they were doing in the days before computers, in our courses. But I used to be the one that would sit there and see who wasn't paying attention. That was sort of my job. And,
I mean, do you think
I know how many people don't pay attention.
Yeah.
I thought that was Matt Hackman.
Well, no, Matt took over from me, but I was in Connecticut. It was like somebody once referred to me as the time Nazi. So, because I'd be the one pushing them back into the room because we have a stricter requirement in Connecticut of 90% of the course.
Yeah.
But I used to do it at the LSPA stuff too, for the same reason. I mean, one, when you're responsible, when you're sort of hard being a board member and seeing people not even sitting in the room.
Yeah.
And then when they're sitting there, sure, they're sitting there. I watched people with their newspapers and on their computer doing their email or reviewing a report or doing anything else, and we don't do anything about them.
No. I mean, my thinking is for 2 hours, you should be able to get the 3 questions and get the 100%.
But again, you can miss them. I mean, the problem is they cut it off when they have like, oh, well, we've got 85%. That's good enough now. And that means 15% of the people didn't get the responses recorded.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And that's happened with, I said, that's happened with me. I mean, so I totally get what you're saying. I just not,
I mean,
I
right now,
understand the
right now
logic,
it's on the
but
course provider, right? The course provider has to
yes,
certify attendance, right? So,
that's my feeling.
yep.
Okay.
That's why Matt
So,
Hackman used to do what he did and get people back in the room. Because
okay.
the course
So,
provider is responsible for saying they attended.
okay. So, what do you want to attended 100% of the course? Are you looking for something less than 100% of the course? I mean, I think if you tell people less than 100%, they're gonna make sure that they and I understand, Gail, that you're trying to build in a safety net for people who have exigent circumstances and have to leave, or some emergency has prevented them from arriving on time.
Yeah.
But do you want to say that people can miss part? It's okay. What you're saying, it sounds to me like you're saying, okay, you can miss 10% of the class. If
No, it's
if
actually, you have to attend.
if you say that they can get credit for attending 90% of the course, trust me, somebody's going to attend 90% of the course on purpose.
But they're only going to get credit for 90%. They're only getting 90% of the credits.
Okay.
That's the point. It's
All right,
just like a real course. It's identical to what we do for a real course in person.
Yeah, can
Okay,
we just
so-
carry that language for the in-person course, down to this section for webinars?
Yeah, I mean, that was my thought. Yeah.
Okay, so Paul, you suggested taking the in-person requirement and putting it here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find that. So
Tracking that. I have it. So in person, just so track in-person language. I got it. Let me work on that. Is that good? Is that what you want me? What you guys have decided you want to see?
well, yeah. I mean, that would be my suggestion, to keep it consistent with webinar versus in person.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
why would we alter the two different? They're two different media, but they're the same intent, same.
Yeah.
I think part of that isn't the only way to track this is going to be through the how they respond to the polling places.
Yes, but that's also, again, no, the time on and the time off. There's actually another tracking mechanism. It's the time you join is recorded as well as the time you leave.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I actually do know that from having worked with Seth. So.
Okay, so I am going to take Paul's suggestion and put it in, track that language and add it to 9A. Is that the next step for this section? Yes?
Sounds good to me. We might have to massage it a little bit with the the attendance and how you document it, but I think that's a good start to mimic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll add that and have it ready for your review at the next board meeting. Thank you. And I think that we've reached the end of this section, so maybe we'll have it finished next month. I'm all done with the reg meeting unless there's any further direction, any further comments or questions. Okay. I'll do that. And we are adjourning the Regulations Committee meeting at 9:36 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
12:36. Everyone set to continue?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, I'm calling the continuing ed meeting to order at 12:36. Hope everyone's doing well. Meeting minutes, I think they're all posted and up to date. Is that correct?
That is.
Okay. I assume there's no old business. Under new business, there's 3 course approval requests and a course reapproval request. For the roll call, I have Deb, Gail, Greg, Kirk, Millie, Patrick, Paul, Craig, and me. Did I miss anyone? So the first course is an LSPA request, 8 hours in person. It's a updated course that reflects some changes to Pro UCL. It also has 2 new instructors. Do we think we can have this as a new course?
Aren't they saying this is just an updated version of the previous course? So just
I didn't really
give it
compare
an
and
A or
study. Excuse me?
you could give it an A or something behind it because it's a
Well,
very much the same.
yes. The instructors are different, and also the timeline is different. They're asking for more credits.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, 1518A was for fewer credits, so it would have to have a B designation, Greg, if the content is the same, otherwise, or substantially similar. Otherwise, we can give it a whole new number. I'll defer to the board on
I understand.
what they want.
Apologies, I missed that difference.
I didn't study the outline, but if it's an increase in hours and has 2 new instructors and it reflects some regulation updates, I think it should be a new course.
The only thing is, okay. The only thing is if there's overlap in the regular, obviously the LSPs can't use it for credit within the same renewal period. So giving it a new number means it's a new course. Is it really a new course? Has anybody taken a look at that to see whether or not
it's reflecting the changes to the Pro UCL software.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course the instructors. So
But this is Debbie. The software doesn't really change that much. The new version, it's some corrections to obscure statistics and things, and most of the course does go through the mechanics, the basic mechanics of using Pro UCL. So I would say it's not a new course.
No, I think it's the same course. It's just different instructors and maybe even more time, but you couldn't use the same course within the same renewal period.
Okay, so
Right.
I make a motion to approve it as a updated course as proposed.
Second,
Thank you. Any discussion from the board or the public? So I'll go to the roll call. A yes is approving. Deb,
Yes.
Gail,
yes.
Greg,
yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. The second request is also from the LSPA.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, David. So it was approved as 1518B then. Is that right?
If that's what you do for an updated course, yes, you're changing the letter.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
changing. Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the second request, once again, is from the LSPA, live webinar on demand, 1 technical credit to be presented sometime this fall. I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Any discussion from the board or public? I'll go through the roll call. Yes is approving. Deb? Deb, are you there?
Yes.
Gail?
Sorry.
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Millie?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. The third request for new course is Mass DEP presentation at an LSPA membership meeting tomorrow as a live webinar, and then repackage as an on-demand, one Mass DEP regulatory credit. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion from the public or the board? A yes is approving. Go through the roll call. Deb?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Millie?
I
Patrick?
apologize. Yes.
Okay, Millie's a yes. Patrick?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
And David is a yes. For course reapproval requests, I wasn't at last month's meeting, but it sounds like they're looking for approval for the virtual format. Is that what this is all about?
I believe so. That's what I thought.
I
The
didn't think there
virtual
was a virtual one.
The way it's, if you look at the
Oh,
submittal, it does say the virtual.
you mean you can do
It
it
says they're
virtually?
going to have polling questions in each session
cool.
and
I
workshop,
missed-
and they're proposing the same as in person, a half credit for the conference and 1 credit 1 hour for the workshops.
But is that a reapproval or is it an approval of a webinar version? It's not a reapproval.
Tell me what was approved last month.
Hold
The
on.
in-person, so 1 credit per credit for workshop and then 1/2 credit per hour of the sessions.
For
So the
both
sta-
in
this-
person and virtual?
No, just in person.
Right, so
This is new, David.
This is new, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
this isn't a this is not a reapproval. This is an approval of a live webinar, basically.
Okay, well, it's listed under reapproval. So does anyone object to what they're requesting? Should we approve it?
I don't see why not.
Can I ask, during COVID times, was the UMass Soils Conference approved virtually?
Yes.
So this is the same as was approved previously during COVID times?
Yeah.
Actually, they've added polling questions, which is great.
Which wasn't a
So
requirement.
I make a motion to approve the request for this virtual format.
Second.
Any further discussions from the board or the public?
I just want to know what you're approving. Is this a new course? Am I issuing new certificates, or is this just an A designation for the webinar version, which is what we've done in the past?
I think it's an A because it's the same thing that we approved already for the live version.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And it looks like they're only asking, I wasn't sure. So they're doing the whole thing. I guess I didn't go past the original stuff, but yeah, okay. They're just doing the thing both ways this time.
Correct. So I'll go to the roll call to approve. Deb,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So that takes care of everything, and the next meeting will be in October on the 11th.
Can I
And
just ask I'm sorry, David, before you
Yep.
adjourn, I just wanted to ask, this course has been approved with the A designation, and it is for the live webinar and online. Is that right? Or is this
the
just on
the
demand?
last one that we just did.
Yes, the
So there's,
soils
I don't
conference.
know how you want to number it, because to me, it seems it's the same, but last month it was approved for in-person, and now we just approved the virtual component of the conference. Same half credit for every hour for the conference and 1 hour for workshops.
Yes, I understand. It's a live webinar, but are you also approving it for on demand for
No, they
for
did not.
later?
No, they
Okay.
did not request that unless I missed it.
No,
Okay.
it's just live.
Yep,
Yeah,
it's
so
just live.
it sounds like the conference is both virtual and in person. So it sounds like
Yes.
it's basically trying to catch it up administratively.
Yes, and that's a good question, Beverly. Yeah, I didn't see anything about a later on-demand offering.
Okay. All right, so it's an A designation. I got it. Thank you very much, everyone.
You're welcome. So this meeting is ending at 12:48.
Okay, Kurt, well, I haven't heard from Jamie, so you can.
Professional conduct, starting 12:50. Anyone have any questions about the virtual meeting minutes for August? Hearing none. Any old business? None. Hear from Beverly on status of the CRTs.
First, I wanted to acknowledge a typographical error under the docket numbers. It's 21C01, not 21C-0. And unfortunately, the disciplinary matters have been stayed because I don't have staff and because we're moving. And I just can't get to it. I'm hoping that once we move, and I'm going to talk about that in a lot more detail during the board meeting, that I'll be able to get some help and get these cases moving. So over the past month, I've only had interactions with the parties on 2 of the pending cases. I spoke with the complainant in 21C01, because if you recall at last month's meeting, the board indicated that the complainant could have copies of the LSP's response once it was redacted and presented to the board. And I just explained that to the complainant. And then in 22C01, the LSP's response was extended until close of business on October 3rd. So I should have that response, but I cannot get the cases moving because I have no one to redact. I don't even, frankly, know where the redaction software is because of the move. It's on a desktop, and I don't know where it is. I'm trying to get it loaded onto my laptop, which would be helpful, but I don't have any further reports on any of the cases.
Thank you. Any new business? Hearing none, next meeting is October 11th, 2022. This meeting is adjourned, 12:54.
Thank you. Welcome to the LSP board meeting. I hope everyone's well. I'm calling this meeting to order at 12:55. Although I do have a different clock, so it would have been 12:52 by my clock, but just tagging along after Kirk, 12:55 p.m. So moving on to announcements. Does anyone have an announcement to share with the board members or members of the public? Hearing none, let's move forward with the meeting. Agenda. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda that we have in front of us?
This is David. I would like to pay tribute to an LSP who passed away last month, which I could do
Oh, that
under
was
life.
on my, yeah, that is on my list. Go ahead, David. That he is on my list. Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was just going to do a short tribute, and I could do it under licensing matters or wherever in the sometime during the meeting.
Yeah. Yep, I think that would be great. I also had him on my list to report on. So I think we'd love to hear from you about this particular LSP. So
Thank you.
I had it. Yep, I have it on my list for other licensing matters, actually under total active. So we can put it there under licensing matters.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. We will add that to the agenda.
Yep.
Beyond that agenda change, are there any additional changes? And if not, we will adopt the agenda with a tribute section for the LSP as our final meeting agenda. Item 4, virtual meeting minutes, June 2020 through August 2022. Beverly, you've informed the board that meeting minutes are currently available and posted on the web. Thank you for doing that. And then regarding our fifth agenda item, which is decisions regarding licensing of applicants, I just wanted to note that there were no renewal dockets attached to the board action, and that's because there are none. So Beverly, I just didn't know if you wanted to add anything extra with regards to no renewal dockets this month.
Nope, nothing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, ARP number 327. Beverly or ARP members, if someone could kindly provide the board with an update on this particular ARP.
Yes. The ARP regarding Mr. Morley met last Tuesday on September 6th, and his application was tabled. There were items that were missing from his application file, and also there were some formatting issues. The applicant was notified last week and is currently, and so pending receipt of the additional information requested by the ARP members, Mr. Morley's application was tabled. He was notified, and he has indicated that he's going to supply the information that the board has requested.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, this is David again. I think before you go on, we normally hear from Chris, who's in this meeting from the public.
Yeah. Let's see. Christy Lefebvre, Michelle Zelsch, Nancy Fitzpatrick, and Wendy Rundle are on the meeting from the public.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's good. Thank you.
Millie,
so
do you want
if-
me to go forward
Yeah,
with?
so I just had a quick question. So the applicant was notified, more information needed, and applicant will be communicating back with you with regards to populating the information that's warranted, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So then next, we need to assign volunteers for the basically form an ARP number 328, and that's to address Andrew Belowski's application. And I also have Darius Klobika's reapplication.
Yes, and I didn't know whether the board members wanted to split those into two ARPs or whether or not a panel is willing to take both applications on.
I can be on the panel or a panel. It doesn't matter to me if it's one or two.
Can I ask, the reapplication, when was that reviewed by the board, and are the members still current, and do they want to relook at that application?
The members are still current, and if you give me a second, I might be able to tell you, but Mr. Shablika's application was denied within the past year. Okay. So let me just see. And yes, the panel members who sat on that application are still available. I can tell you. Yeah, so I've taken down David's name as sitting on the panel. Do you guys want to split the panel or leave it at 2?
So I'm wondering, Deb, were you maybe hinting that the same members that looked at the Klobika application prior should be so that you have consistency, or are you looking for fresh eyes?
Well, we used to do the same panel, which is, for the consistency, and they obviously had picked out issues that they wanted addressed that would be addressed in the reapplication, but there's also a benefit of a fresh ARP. So I guess I was just asking the question if.
Okay.
I think that since it's within the last year, it makes sense for it to be the same panel.
Okay. And do we know who actually for this reapplication? So who looked at it prior, specifically for the reapplication?
Yes, I know. And I'm trying to pull that information up, and I'll pull it up, but we can just hold on. I'll have to do this another way, sorry. Sorry.
The 3 people on this call and remember doing it?
Yeah, that we would think so. Yeah, would have helped, huh? Okay, but we can. That has not always been the case, but as Deb has indicated, it's sometimes the case. It's just a matter of whether or not
I feel like we run the risk if it was because it was within the last year. I feel like we run the risk of having a problem if a different panel comes up with a different conclusion within such a short period of time.
Actually, it was I'm sorry, Gail. It was 2020 that he applied, August 5th, 2020, and so I can give you the names. It'll just take me a minute, but it was 2020 that he applied.
Okay.
Well, that's long enough ago. I don't think it does matter.
Yeah. So at this point,
Yeah.
why don't we just then consider just anyone who's interested, who's available and able.
Yeah, we just need two more.
Well, this is Patrick, and I'm overdue for serving on one of these panels.
Okay.
Thank you, Patrick.
No, this is Craig. I can assist as well.
Thank you, Craig. All right.
Okay, so
Very
we've
good.
got David, Craig, and we've got Patrick. And
right.
is that for both or just the reapplication?
We can do both.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, so it's going to stay at, and I wanted to just make sure. So the panel is going to take both the reapplication and the application. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
And yep, Andrew Burlowski's.
Yep. Okay. Very
Great.
good.
Perfect. So Beverly, if you don't mind providing a report out for items 6 through 12.
Sure. So there are currently 450 LSPs, and that is counting the loss of the LSP. And so, David, why don't you go ahead and present the information on the LSP who passed away since our last board meeting.
Sure, thanks. So Steve Fleming passed away last month in August. He was licensed 7236. He had been an LSP since 2004, LSP of record on over 100 sites. I started working with Steve in the late 1980s at Clean Harbors, and we were very good friends and professional colleagues and LSPs. In 2006, he started his own company of Vineyard Engineering and Environmental Services. So he did a lot of residential work, nothing that I was ever involved with, but he always seemed, you know, there are always horror stories and difficult to hear about, but he was always very upbeat and optimistic and could always seem to get the work done, even if it meant, you know, shoring up a whole house and digging out the dirty soil. So he was very smart and hardworking and had really high level of high standards. And I just think it's a big loss to the LSP community. Folks at Vineyard are going to continue on, and I think they'll be successful. So thanks.
Thank you, David. And it's always hard to lose one of your colleagues, especially, never mind your personal connection and relationship, but also I'm sure the LSP community is certainly missing Mr. Fleming. So our sympathy goes out to his family, friends, and profusely thank his spirit for all the good work and the legacy of his work and how it will shape for a better planet in the future that he's leaving behind. So thank you very much. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
And I also want to add that he must have been an LSP of note because we received two different information about his passing from two different sources. So I just wanted to recognize again, as David did, his accomplishments. And to his credit, he was never one of those LSPs who had any marks or any kind of controversy on his record. So job well done. Job well done. I wanted to backtrack about Mr. Shablika. Mr. Shablika's former reviewers were Kathy Campbell, Farouk Sadiq, and Jamie Smith. That's why no one answered Greg when you said, "Don't they remember?"
Oh, good. It wasn't our memories.
Yeah, no, it
I'm
wasn't. It
reassured.
wasn't. I'm just reassuring everyone, Gail. Yes, it was. So the three folks who sat on that particular panel, Kathy, Jamie, and Farouk Sadiq, are not here. So that's why no one responded. Sorry. Okay.
Plus, it's 2 years.
Yeah, plus it's 2 years, 9/25/2020. So almost exactly 2 years. His application was reviewed. Okay. So there's one LSP on inactive status until July 30th, 2023. I wanted to give a report on the unpaid fees. So there's still 4 LSPs who have not paid their January 2022 renewal. There are 2 LSPs who have not paid their April 2022 renewal. There are 4 LSPs who have not paid their July renewal. And with respect to item 10, unpaid annual fees, there are 7 LSPs who have not paid their 2022 annual fee. The second notice to those LSPs was sent on April 29th, 2022, and the third notice was mailed September 1st, 2022. And again, based on everything that we had occur last year with the annual fees, I've already, Barbara Weish, has already created a spreadsheet with the certified mail receipt numbers. So there are 7 LSPs whose licenses who received notice of revocation pursuant to 2.09.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Deb.
I have a question about the renewal. So that's the 3-year renewal. So can we assume that they didn't submit their continuing ed information also along with the fee? So
no, you can't. I don't know the breakdown on that, Deb.
okay.
Some of them may have not paid the fee. Some of them may have not submitted their renewal document. But you know, I have that information. Barbara has created a spreadsheet for exactly what they're missing with respect to the unpaid renewal. So it doesn't. They could have not paid the fee and not submitted their documents, or they could have not submitted their documents, but they've received letters saying that they failed to renew.
Beverly?
Yes.
Sorry. Is there any overlap between the people who didn't pay their annual fees and these people that didn't renew this year?
That's a separate spreadsheet. And so I don't know. I don't have an answer for your question, Gail.
Because it's close to the same number. That's why I was asking. Well, that's not the only reason I'm asking, but they happen to be somewhat close enough to the number of people, and if it would make sense, maybe that the unpaid annual fees and unpaid renewals.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the names for unpaid annual fees for April 29th. And on April 29th, there were 10 unpaid annual fees. And I guess they got that second letter. So in between April 29th, 2022 and September 1st, 3 of the unpaid annual fees were paid. So I'm not quite sure.
Deb, I have another question, please. So
Actually, let me just finish, Deb, and then of course I'll answer your question. Actually, out of that 10 that were on the list as being unpaid in April, yeah, that's right. 3 payments came in. So I'm not sure, Gail, I can get that information if you think it's necessary, but 7
I
are the
just think
7.
yeah, I just thought it was something to keep track of, only because it would make sense if you don't pay the annual fee, then you don't renew, then you kind of know something's up. That's all. You know, they may have just decided not to tell you that they were leaving the profession or something like that.
Yeah. Usually the LSPs do, though. Usually they're pretty good about saying, how do I retire my license? Or I have retired, or I'm no longer practicing. Usually they drop us an email, but point well taken. Deb, did you have a question?
yeah, just about how they appear at this point on the our webpage, the board's webpage. Are they both the renewals and the annual fees listed as active? Or are they the renewals?
Well, they should be listed as either lapsed or revoked or whatever the status is.
Okay.
I will go back and check on that. That's
okay,
that's a good point.
Thank
Yep.
you.
I will check on the website status, because it should list the 7 annual fees as revoked as of September 1st, and the others should be suspended with 1 year to come back into the fold or whatever applies. So I'll check on those for the next
Beverly,
meeting.
when somebody tells you that they're leaving the profession, you don't put it revoked, you put lapsed, right?
Yes, Gail, because
Okay.
there is no listing for retired. So what it translates to is lapsed. No,
Okay.
Lapsed is for people who haven't who have retired, because we don't have a category for retirement.
No, but who actually tell you, so that you know, so that it isn't just that they don't pay their annual fee and they get revoked. It says lapsed because they told you they were not renewing.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
that's the way those people. For example, I just had someone retire their license 2 weeks ago, and they notified us. And my standard language to them is, "Thank you for letting us know. Your license will be listed as lapsed on the website, since we don't have a category for retirement." I have form language for that. So yes, but I will check to make sure that the current lists are accurate. Any other comments? Hello?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the report back, especially since LSPs need to mind their timely address any kind of fees that are needed, they're owed and due. So just following up with the due diligence, and thanks for the report back. So would you like to talk about the examination committee report?
I need to schedule an exam committee meeting, and I hope to do that before our October meeting. So there is no report, except that I need to schedule a meeting.
Okay, great. And then number 12 is the 2022 LSP exam.
Sure. I sent out a notice to all eligible LSPs, and I just want to address that in particular. There are currently 14 LSPs who are 14 applicants who are qualified to sit for the exam. There is one person whose eligibility expired in June of 2022, and that person may file a petition for waiver to sit for the exam, for an extension of time rather, to sit for the exam. But we haven't spoken to that person yet to figure out exactly what he or she wants to do. So there are 14 counting that person who may request a waiver. And then there are the 3 pending applications that may be added to that number. So with respect to dates, the exam, we will have moved by then, and so the EEA is looking for a location at 100 Cambridge Street where our new offices will be for the exam. So we're looking at probably November. But I sent an email to all of the applicants who are currently eligible, just to keep them informed about what the potential dates are. But the exam has to be offered before December 9th, 2022, and EEA is aware of that. It's just a matter of finding a location to offer the exam.
Can you
So,
okay, I do have a question. Yeah, no, thank you. I do have a question. And can you speak a little bit with regards to the circumstances associated with the one he or she person who may request a waiver? What exactly transpired?
Yeah, I can. The person was approved on June 17th, 2020. And so there's two years of eligibility. And so the person's eligibility expired on June 17th, 2022. The person also was out on maternity leave and wanted to defer the exam. The exam has only been offered, I believe, twice, possibly 3 times. I'm not sure. Yes, there have been 3 different times that the exam was offered during this person's eligibility. But again, the eligibility ran on June 17th, 2022.
Okay, so opportunities were provided within that window. That was my question.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay.
A minimum of 2, and a minimum of 2 opportunities. That was the important piece.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Minimum of 2 opportunities to sit. Yes, we have, and we have granted them. Well, the board has. Is that helpful?
Yes, very. Okay. Any questions or comments? All right. If not, David, if you don't mind providing the board members and the public with a report out from your meeting, the Continuing Education Committee. And would you mind also noting if there are any recommendations that came out of the report that warrant any kind of board action? And if not, then we can, after your report, we can just move on to the Professional Conduct Committee report.
No, Millie, we have the way the committee was set up, the board has to approve the recommendations of continuing ed. Until we change the way that committee was initially set up, it's not a committee of the whole. We have to actually act on the board has to act on the recommendations.
Thank you.
So before I give my report, I hope all 14 folks take the exam and pass. So the continuing ed committee met today. We approved 3 courses and we approved a conference webinar. And the next meeting is in October on the 11th. So someone can make a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
So you guys do not want to do a rollout, the roster? Is that, I mean, it just seems like it changes all the time, which is why I'm always asking for guidance on that.
No, if you go back to the way that it was originally set up, the continuing education committee is not a committee of the whole. It was a subcommittee that didn't require a quorum, and that's the reason. So we can go back and change that, but right now it's set up as a subcommittee and requires the board to approve the recommendations. That's the reason.
So I get that part, Gail. And the question is, in the past times, we've actually gone through the entire roster with a yes, or we can, as a whole, say we approve. It changes all the time.
No, I
That's
thought
my observation.
I thought online we had to do it with the roll call, but I don't know why. But that was just something that's separate.
Okay.
That's the online stuff.
Haven't we always done the roll call?
Yes, always.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so a yes. We'll start with Deb,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Millie, yes, Patrick,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
and David.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Any other business? I don't think anything was discussed, right, David? Hearing none. Jane?
Correct.
Great, thank you. Kirk, if you don't mind providing us with a report out from Professional Conduct Committee.
Okay. There was no questions on the virtual minutes, no old business. Status of the CRTs, everything was stayed. Noting there's no time staff and that our offices are moving. Only one interaction with 21C01 and 22C01 was extended to October 3rd. That's it.
Great, thank you. All right, we're moving on then to item number 15. Beverly, if you don't mind just providing us with a report back items 15A through D.
Okay. We took some final steps toward completing section 3.09. There are just a couple of minor tweaks to the language, and we should be finished with this section. And then I'll have to figure out what we have left and where we go next. With respect to personnel budget and fees, our new budget was approved. I spoke about that at the specifics about it at the last meeting. With respect to personnel, I am in the throes of interviewing program coordinator candidates. I should wrap that up by next week in terms of selecting a candidate for that position. And I'm filling that position first because Barbara Weiss has requested that she go back to OGC full time. She accepted the position as a temporary part-time helping us out sort of thing, and she's been doing it for 10 years. So, and I think because we want to make sure there's a smooth transition, I'm filling that first. So hopefully in the next week or so, we'll have identified a candidate for the program coordinator position. And then I'm going to move very quickly to the continuing education / investigator position. We do have applicants for all 3 positions. It's just a matter of, I've gotten some help now with scheduling and so forth, so I'm able to move forward with the hiring process. Okay, so are there any questions about agenda items A or B? Okay, I will move on to agenda item C. On on August 17th, 2022, I met with an IT team about online fee payments. And I just want to talk a little bit about the process and what we're doing. The way we're setting this up is through the EEA ePlace portal. And so we're going to have a secure system that allows LSPs to log in to search a drop-down menu that asks them what they want to do. We are going to customize it for the LSP, so there will be forms that they can upload onto this website. The website will generate reports such as, thanks for your application, here's the copy for your records, you're all done, these are the next steps. There's a lot of functionality that's going to be built into this application, but the detail of it for LSPs requires quite a bit of specificity. So the next steps are subsequent meetings that have been scheduled with the team for September 15th, September 22nd, and September 29th. Basically, we're meeting every week because each phase of the online applications will be a separate entity. And by that, I mean exam, fees, and documents will be a separate application. Annual fee payments, which I'm happy to say I think we're going to be able to include, will be created as a separate application. Renewal fees, 90-day extensions, reapplications, which the limited applications also will be set up so that they can be paid or documents submitted using this external portal. So we have to build these applications, exam, renewal, all of that, one step at a time. So we're going to have a building phase, which is where we are now. There'll be a testing phase, and there'll be demonstration, a demo session. So actually there are 4. There's a production system session. So there are 4 different sessions for each application. And we're just starting on the first application on our meeting this week on the 15th. So I'm hoping we can get this in place for the January 2023 online annual fee payment. And that's my report. on that. With respect to LSP board relocation, as I mentioned during the last meeting, it's going to cost approximately $18,600 to hire Donegan Systems, a company that's skilled in packing and file assembly and all of the things that need to be done to ready us for this move. I was told that we had to be out of the building by October 7th, but the contractor will not start on the work that the board needs to move its administrative files until next week. They'll be working September 19th through September 30th for 2 weeks, and then there'll be a break, and they'll be working again starting October 17th through the 28th. So it's going to be done. It's going to take them a month to do this, and it'll be handled over the course of a month. There is currently no space designated for the LSP board at 100 Cambridge Street, which is why there's no designated exam space for the LSP board at 100 Cambridge Street. So I don't know whether we're going to have a meeting next month or what's going to happen. I learned last week that we've been given an extension to stay in the building for a little longer, but that doesn't mean that we're going to be able to do all of the normal things that we're going to do. And it's also going to be probably a transition period with a new program coordinator starting. So I don't know how certain it is that we'll be able to meet on the 11th of October. I will keep everyone informed. I'll keep our continuing education providers informed. I will also do my best to keep the public informed about the move when I have something more specific. Did anybody have any questions about any of the items that I covered?
None from my end.
Beverly, I had a question about the fact that we do have 3 potential applicants that might want to take the exam in November. So my only concern would be trying to figure out a way to have even a very, very short board meeting just to approve their applications if they're going to be approved, so that they would have that opportunity to take the exam when it's given.
Yeah, well, like I'm saying to everybody, Gail, I'm going to do the best I can.
No, I know. I'm just saying,
Yep.
to the extent that we can figure something out.
Yep. Well, I've already notified EEA that in addition to the potential 14, that there are 3 others in queue. If the 3 applications that are pending are approved, so that would bring the total to 17.
Well, here's a weird question, Beverly. Could we have, like, let's say the panels meet and these people are approved, right? Would it be possible to do just a brief sort of remote board? I mean, they're all remote right now, but just a quick, like, board meeting just to approve their applications so they could be told to prepare?
I'll do the best I can.
Yeah.
There are also likely to be continuing ed courses that'll need to be approved. I'll do what I can. I'm, like I said, I'm trying to hire 3 people. I have 4 interviews scheduled for tomorrow. 3, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can.
Oh, and would the program coordinator be full-time or part-time?
No, it's a full-time position.
Oh, good.
All three positions are full-time. It's a full-time job, you know, and so it has been one of those things where Barbara Weiss spends more time on a lot of days doing LSP board work because there are so many LSPs and 11-member board and all the other things that pertain to maintaining the spreadsheets for the board. So I think we owe her a great debt for 10 years of service. So,
I was going to suggest we do something for her. If we have it in the budget, we could do something for her.
yeah, I think we should. I'll think about that
Gift
because we
basket or
absolutely,
something. I don't care what, but
yeah, we absolutely should, and I think it's very appropriate, and I duly noted. Duly noted. And so to answer your specific question, Gail, about approving applicants, I want to reassure anybody who is within the sound of our meeting or checking the website that we're going to make sure that every applicant is who wants to sit for the exam gets approved. I mean, we may have other applications come in before November when I plan to hold the exam. So we're going to make sure that everyone who wants to sit is able to sit for the exam. And there's also the matter of the person whose eligibility has expired. So that would require a board vote to allow them to sit. By petition for waiver. So, well, something, yes, Gail, something's going to have to be worked out so that we can make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to sit.
Great, great points. Thank you, Gail, for bringing those important pieces along, and also Beverly for considering all of the competing interests and significant milestones that are in front of you. Much appreciated. So with that, our next board meeting may be potentially sometime in October. Beverly will keep us informed. And therefore, this meeting is adjourned at 1:39 p.m.
Thanks, Millie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Millie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, Millie.
Thanks, everyone.
Beverly.
Bye.
Good night. We'll see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.